All right, so here we have the value discard deck. I've been playing this one for a very long time. In fact, I actually did a spotlight of it a bunch of months ago. It was submitted by one of our mods, Dim, and I thought it was an awesome idea. I really enjoy this deck list. I've been playing it ever since. I like it because of the 2-cost quest. I ended up playing it a lot, but it also just steals a lot of cubes. So let's have a look at the deck itself, right? So it's a bit of a discard. We have the discard package in here, but the real goal is to empty our hand with those discard cards rather, to get the strong guy activated. So how do we do that? Okay, so we're basically, our best line of play is to play strong guy on 4, Sera on 5 to discount everything in our hand, not use those discard cards, right? If we draw them, we leave them in the hand until the final turn, where I play as many of them as I can on top of everything else, hopefully Maximus and whatever else that has high power for low cost, even lower cost because of the Sera discount. And then we just get a huge turn 6 burst on our opponents with a lot of value cards, and we discard whatever is left in our hand to activate Strong Guy. It's actually incredibly effective. Strong Guy being a 4-10, and actually we can get him to 4-11 with Okoye, and that's kind of consistent. Okoye is our early game play. Angela's an early game play. Mojo, we can throw these cards down no problem. Even Star-Lord, Lizard, Green Goblin. Those are all the cards that we're going to play before this big last swing. And there's some sneaky combos there. One of the ones that I don't see played enough, but it's so good, is Angela Green Goblin. It triggers the +2 power for Angela, and then the Goblin goes over, opening up another space for Angela to play a card there, and you've locked in a spot at the opponent's location. So like, boom, it's like a triple win. So that's a nasty little combo right there. And then also we got the Mojo and the Lizard. I actually like pairing these two together because it forces your opponent to like not play 4 cards there. I think most of the time they don't want to activate the Mojo, and they'd rather leave the Lizard. So you just kind of get a net win in power, and you intimidate your opponent on where they want to play things. Or you guide your opponent to where they want to play things without their knowing, right? You play Lizard somewhere, you're motivating them to play 4 cards there. But if you play Mojo somewhere, you're motivating them not to play 4 cards there. So depending on the locations and the situation and deck that you're playing against, this can kind of be a bit of a psychological trick on your opponents. But actually the whole deck is a massive psychological trick on your opponents, because nobody's doing this. I don't see this anywhere. I'm sure maybe like a few people are doing this out there, but I really don't see this. And I find in my own personal experience, people do not see this coming. They go to the final turn because they're just like, I don't know, what is this deck? They played Angela, okay, Star-Lord. What is Star-Lord doing in here? Did they really just play a discard card? What is happening? And then Strong Guy. Okay, so they got Strong Guy and Sera on the field. That's a little bit scary, but they have like 6, they have a full hand, 6 cards or whatever in their hand. There's no way they're going to play all those cards, right? Well, you're right, but you're wrong about them not being able to empty their hand, because I'm going to play 3 cards. They're all discard, like Clean Wing, Swordmaster, and Blade, and all of a sudden, I don't have 6 cards in my hand. I played 3, and then I have 0 in my hand, and I activate Strong Guy, get that buff, and it's crazy. And I get to choose where I put that power. I'm not really locked into one location. Like, I'm not trying to double up on my Wong location, right? Or like get those crazy buffs with Ultron going across, or I'm trying to Arnim Zola my Red Skull. Like, there's no telegraphed positioning. It's not, you're not going to know where I'm putting my power. It's going to go everywhere. In fact, this is a wide power deck. We're trying to get power all across the board. So anyways, that is the deck. You got some of the early energy curve there and the power curve, but we're going to give this a spin in 3 games. I'm not even going to edit them. We're just going to rip them so you get a raw experience of this deck, and then we're going to give a star rating, so stay tuned. All right, let's get this going. I like this deck a lot. I end up playing it quite a bit, especially when I have the quest where it's play 2 cost cards. I end up just playing this a whole bunch. That is pretty good for us, that location. But what I really like about this deck is that there's only really one card, and that being Sera, that you really want to draw. And even if you don't end up drawing her, you're usually okay. It's not like those combo decks where it's like, yeah, they're really good. If you draw XYZ in this turn order, then you're probably going to win the game, which is probably accurate. But I find it frustrating when I don't draw my combo like 5 games in a row. I'm like, what am I doing? This deck, it's like, yeah, there's other ways to win. My opponent snapped on me. I'm very bad for snapping right back, so I do it. And I'm going to Okoye actually at the left, just because I don't know how I'll get power there elsewhere. Otherwise, throughout the match right. I gotta get power now. All right, what did they play mid? Viper to get the ninja over. All right, that is pretty nasty. That is snap worthy, I suppose. Whoever, bar with no name. So I don't have anything for that. So we're just going to have to try and get as much power on the left here and make sure we win that, and then mitigate power by the mid and hope that they don't have negative, like the hood. If he has the hood, oh, he's going to pull a Koye over. That's not the, oh, that's kind of brutal. Oh my gosh. Okay, Blade's going to go. That's probably fine. Strong guy. This is the last turn for this left location. Okay, so Mojo doesn't even seem bad there. He's like guaranteed 8, but I'm thinking strong guy for the 11 in the mid just to mitigate some of the damage. And then on the left here, go for a big 9 power play. They're definitely not going to be able to play 4. It's going to discard Mojo, and then I strong guy here, and then I just keep playing whatever else at bar with no name if I have to. That might not be the play, though. That's guaranteed losing this location if I lose this one. Still, this seems like the most amount of power that I can put out here. Rock slide. Oh no, is he going to Darkhawk? Okay. So some of the criteria that I'm putting when I evaluate these deck lists. Well, actually, the proc's not so bad. Just chuck it over there. And I'm definitely just not going to play this right now because I can't play. I have to hope I draw a rock next turn if I want to play this. And so therefore, it doesn't matter if I play it or not. So anyways, like I was saying, is one of the things is meta strength based on like the cards that people are playing right now. That's actually so bad because that would give him the win on the right, and it also just doesn't do anything for my strong guy. Even if I had played strong guy last turn, that wouldn't have mattered. Playing this here is a death sentence unless he Cosmos, which he's never going to do. So we're basically just going for power differential here, but he's already got a 16. It's 16, 16, 0. And I'm going to put out 5, and all he has to do is play Darkhawk, and he's going to win. So this is a retreat. I'm not going to play silly when I do these, not too much anyways. Honestly, I should have probably dipped after the double ninja, if we're being honest, if we're talking about cube preservation. But in this instance, I played it out a little too long. That's my bad. But right now, we could get baited into another 4 cubes, which would be even worse because he's got 6 cards in his hand. And it's probably some rocks, but it's also probably Darkhawk or whatever else. I'm definitely winning 16 here. We're probably tying here. And then he's going to beat me on the power differential. That's just how that would play out. So we're retreating. We're getting out and we're saving our cubes. That's going to be one game. I'm going to straight up play 3 unedited. We're just going to rip them so that you guys get a pretty real experience of this deck. You know, I'm not trying to hold anything back. You got to see it for what it is. There you go. Play 2 cost cards, 4 to 4. Boom. That's what I'm talking about. I actually love just having a deck for every quest. I find that really helpful. I'm also not a very high rank, so maybe this deck doesn't perform, you know, that better when you get to the higher ranks. But I've been playing this deck for like the better part of like last 4 or 5 months, a similar version of this deck. And more often than not, I end up winning. Or at least good cube mitigation, you know? Or surprise cube victories. Okay, he didn't like the Raptors. I don't know why. This is always a big decision. Do you Angela first or a Koye? I actually lean more to the Angela usually because look at how, you know, not open my locations are. I couldn't Angela there later. I could Angela. Actually, I will go Koye. I'm going to go against my judgment only because the Bifrost is going to shift things to the right. I can Angela on the far left later on pretty easily. Okay. That's interesting. 3 are going to go over here. It's going to be 4 cards unless I play something there now. Green Goblin seems pretty juicy. It's going to really, really mess them up at Central Park. So I'll get what, 2 Raptors and then 2 Squirrels and a Koye are going to be in my mid. Wow. What's this? Goblin? It'd be funny if they play Goblin. Thor. Okay. So I still feel like I need to play a card here because things are going to shift. But that would lock in the mid if I do. Right? Oh, no, not quite. Not quite. Not quite. So I'm pretty safe to do this, in fact. Right now, that would put me at 7. I have to assume that it's going to be 10 and he could play anything else. So it's actually worth it to play Blade here. Get one Raptor. 10, 12. I'll be at 12. He'll be at 11. Anything he plays anyways kind of beats me. Maybe we don't even mess around with that right. That's a tricky situation, yo. This is not easy. His mid is going to be clustered too. My goodness. It is not easy for us. I'm going to leave my locations open and let the 3 shuffle to the right. He's going to try and juggernaut me. So look at how clustered he's going to be. Oh my gosh. Whereas I left it open with incredible hand. Yeah, I'm pretty happy about this play. He needs Mjolnir to win on the right, which means he only has 3 slots on the left. And this is it. So I would normally snap. And I might. Okay, arrow is still not going to do anything. So look at my hand, right? Discounted, cheap. Incredible amount of power. Oh my gosh, Maximus cherry on the top. So we know we're going to play Mojo here because that's just easy bonus. We're going to play Star-Lord, Maximus, and Swordmaster probably. Because that seems like... but we don't have the most energy to do so. So what do I want to do then? I definitely want to fill this because I feel like... I guess I don't necessarily need to play... Oh, they're going to dip. He's going to dip. It seems like he's going to dip. Unless I do this quick enough. So let's go... Instead, let's go this, and this. That seems like too much on the... An unnecessary amount on the right here. But I don't have anything else that gets there. Huh. Why did this become hard? I could just go 1 and then go... That could be decent. Plays 3 cards. He's got 6 in hand. Let's try that. Let's see how that goes. That's a lot of power. Probably maybe overkill in the mid, but if they have... Who knows? They're going to Mjolnir in 2 other cards. Watch. Oh, he only goes with 2 cards. It's going to be Dr. Octopus, which isn't going to do anything, which is pretty good for him. 10 power. Sunspot. I don't think I have enough, even though the Star-Lord's going to hit. And Maximus might be actually enough to mitigate. Maybe? Oh, maybe we do get there. We do get there. Triple location win. Actually, I didn't even need the left. Why did they play that? Why did they play through that? Probably because I didn't snap. I bet if I snapped, they would have retreated, and they were waiting to see if I would retreat because I took a little while. Okay, interesting. Interesting. I don't know if that was my best line of play. But I did need power on the mid, so I don't know. It got sticky. I was like 1 energy short, but you can see how many cards you can play in that final turn with this deck, right? And like the amount of power, because all these cards have high power value. And then you stack them with the Angela. If you buff them with the Koei earlier on, you know, all kinds of things like that. And then if you do manage to empty your hand, like that one I was a little bit short, but you do get to manage to empty your hand quite a bit with this deck. Then you buff your strong guy, which is just unreal. Which is why I like this deck. And I don't see it too often. I don't see it really at all, I don't find. Okay, so Green Goblin is just cash money in the mid. We're going to lead with Okoye. I like to leave the discards for the end because that just makes it easier to activate Strong Guy, and I get to pick and choose what cards I want to play. And another like really nice combo I probably talked about earlier, but if you Angela into Green Goblin, oh my gosh, that is so nice. That's a 5 power swing, take up a spot on their opponent's side. Really nasty. We obviously don't have that here, and that's fine. We wouldn't want it at Atlantis anyways. I'm thinking Strong Guy is going to carry Atlantis. Easy, and X-Mansion's going to win it for us. As it so often does. All right, Goblin going over. Oh, Destroy deck with Bucky. What do we get here? Okay, that was double trash. Although, would that on reveal have activated? He might have just lost all the ongoing effects of his cards. I don't know. I don't actually know if expansion activates the abilities, but regardless, we're going to go with our strong guy play, and then we're going to dump these cards later because I have 3 discards, and that is perfect. Perfect. I can play them all on turn 6 if I need to. Okay, Carnage is kind of nasty on my Goblin. That's really disappointing. I won't lie. It means we definitely need to trigger the condition of Strong Guy here. And he's got a lot of cards. But probably Killmonger was the play there, right? So I imagine he probably wants to destroy Bucky as soon as possible. So I'm feeling pretty confident playing that Star-Lord there. And actually, in fact, if I am going to do that, I might lean in heavily on it and do that. That leaves enough space to play all the discard cards. And I think we're fine. He does go for the Deathlock, figured. It was that or Venom, and Venom didn't seem really that good at that time, so Deathlock it is. So this gives us a fighting chance at actually winning this location, because that's going to get us to 10. So losing all locations, but it's not all that bad. Sera is a little bit too late, but it doesn't matter, because like I said, I can play my 3 discard cards. Ooh, where do I want to play them? Opponent's going to snap. Honestly, I don't think they can compete with this power output. I'm going to snap back, see what happens. I'm getting 7 on the right, and I'm getting 8 on the left, and I'm getting 6 in the mid. That is a wide spread of power. They're going to play Death. I don't even think that'd be discounted to 0. He destroyed 2 things here. It'd be 4 off. That'd only be a 5 power death. Unless he thinks he can win it with 1 death because Strong Guy. And he's looking at my hand, right? He's looking at my hand. How many cards did I just play? I just played 3. He's seeing 5 cards in my hand. He's not going to think that I can dump my hand, right? But the discard gets me there. That's the fascinating part of this deck. So let's see if we win, though. We might not win. 2 cards. Death does come out, so we're losing the left, but we're going to win the right and the mid. Check it. Swordmaster coming out. Discards Lizard. Buffing the Angela, actually getting close, but then Blade's going to get rid of Sera. That's 3 on the right. Buffing the Strong Guy, 4 on the right. That's going to get us to 9 power, and we're going to win the mid and the right side. That's what I'm talking about. Nobody sees this coming, man. Nobody expects a bunch of discard high value cards at the end to activate your Strong Guy. They see 5 cards in your hand. They're like, no shot is that Strong Guy going to get buffed. So my Carnage is probably going to carry the Atlantis because I made a sick play by eating the Goblin. But you were wrong, my dude. I got you. So that's the deck. That's the deck. I don't even know. Did we win 2 out of 3? I think so. It's pretty good. Pretty good. Let's get to the star rating. All right, so check it out. Here's some of the criteria when I'm, doing these deck spotlights that I'm going to look at and kind of evaluate based on the small sample size that I play it with. In this instance, I've been playing this deck for a very long time, but I plan on doing a lot of decks based on what content creators making, meta, style decks or whatever's at the top at the time, and then ones that you guys submit as well. I'm going to try them all out. We're going to do this a lot more frequently. So definitely smash the like button if you like this kind of content. So we have costs. So this is how much does the deck cost to make. And what that means is there a lot of Series 4 cards, a lot of Series 5 cards? Is there too many Series 3 cards? So in this instance, I'm only giving it 2 stars because I believe there is only 5 Series 3 cards, and honestly, a quite flexible deck. I could take a lot of those out. The only one that's the most necessary is Sera. So if you don't have her yet, you might be in a bind to build this deck. But I think for the most part, I'm going to call Series 3 relatively cheap. You can get there by playing games. You don't really have to spend money. It's just time. It's a lot of time. I'm not going to lie. Like any of those decks are going to cost a lot. But I think anything that's Series 2 and under is going to be a 1 star. And that's how I'm kind of evaluating this. If there was a couple more Series 3 cards, I'd put it at 3. If there was a bunch of Series 4, I'd put it at 4. And if there was a bunch of Series 5, I'd put it at 5. You get it? Okay, cool. So then difficulty. I'm giving it 1 star. Honestly, I find it pretty easy. There's some decisions on turn 6 that you got to make, but for the most part, you're just playing value cards throughout the game. And then at the end, you're trying to basically play Strong Guy on 4, Sera on 5, and then dump your hand to make sure that you have no cards and just a bunch of power. So I don't feel like that's all that hard. It's pretty basic. And if you don't get to play Strong Guy and Sera on time, then you just play whatever's best at that given moment for the total power. You're just trying to play a lot of power every turn. That's really what the deck does. Holding onto those discards maybe at the end might be a bit of an extra layer of strategy, but I think for the most part, this is one of the easier decks to pilot. It's not a crazy combo deck. It's not going to make your brain explode. It's just play cards when you feel like it, all right? And then you got meta strength. So I don't feel like this fares very well in the meta. I'm just being totally honest with you guys, because I think like there's other craziness that's going on that's just better. Like we kind of saw it with that Rock Slide deck, and I didn't even play that through, but I knew it could beat me. You know what I'm saying? So there's just stuff like that, the Dark Hawk stuff, or there's also like this would get wrecked by Galactus. Oh my gosh, it would get destroyed by Galactus. Just a few other things, like even the 0 Red Skull. This deck doesn't have any counters, right? We're not running Cosmo, Enchantress. We can't really stop our opponents from doing anything. So if they are just able to get to power levels like 20 and over at locations, we can't beat that. That's just how it is. But we're more flexible. You know, if locations get a little bit funky, we can make do, whereas other decks might not be that flexible, might not be able to pivot the way this one can. So that's why I'm giving it 2 stars. I think it's well worth giving a shot on the ladder. If you're higher rank, maybe it doesn't work so well, but certainly has worked for me in the middle ranks, and especially if you have that 2-cost card Quest. This is fantastic. Also, the cube gain. So you're going to notice the cube gain is different from the meta strength, which you might think is a little bit funny, because if you're winning games and it's strong in the meta, wouldn't you have more cubes? Well, yeah, maybe, but I think what I'm evaluating here is the shock value. You know, like, can you actually go to the final bell and steal cubes from your opponent? There's stuff like Invisible Woman and the Hela thing. Like, if your opponent doesn't really know what's coming, you can steal a lot of cubes because that's a lot of power on turn 6. It's a big burst, and they're not going to see that coming. They don't really know about this deck. And I feel like this one does that really, really well, which is why I'm giving the cube game 4 stars. Nobody sees this coming. You got the Sera turned on, but then you played like Star-Lord and Lizard before, so they're like, what is this deck? I don't even know what's going to happen on turn 6, but it looks like they're losing, so I'm probably going to be fine, right? If I play my death or whatever. No, you're wrong. We got crazy power output, and we just stole 8 cubes. I find very often when I play this deck, it goes to the final turn, and people play it out. Whereas if you're playing that Galactus or something as an example here, you're playing a Galactus deck, I would give that cube game maybe 1 star or 2 stars, because people leave once you Galactus, and you're trying to Galactus on 5. So it's just like hard to really get 4 or 8 cubes frequently. Lastly is the creativity. That's just basically, have I seen this a lot, or is it just the same old thing with 1 or 2 cards changed? And basically, I think this is a pretty creative deck. You know, the only reason it's not 5 is because you do see the Sera thing a lot, you know, like playing a lot of cards on turn 6 after you play Sera. That's nothing new. We've seen it with Surfer and whatnot. But the discard package that's implemented here with the Strong Guy, I feel like is pretty unique, and I really don't see that out there. So I feel like this is fairly creative spin on the Sera discounting, the turn 6 burst, and then just having a lot of value cards for a lot of power output. I think it's a pretty neat deck. I think it's pretty fun. So let me know. I'll have the deck list in the description below. Definitely like the video, subscribe to the channel if you want some more deck spotlights like this and awesome snap content, because I got lots for you coming your way. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys next time.